Yep.
Who's doing what? Who's going to do it?
So because David's here,
Yeah.
and I think we would all say yes to David being the chair again.
Yeah.
Well, can we nominate a deputy now?
I think we want the meeting to function, don't we? So
Yeah, I think we need to decide who's going to chair the meeting tonight.
Who's going to chair the meeting tonight, and we'll defer 2208, 2209 to a future meeting, which could be a full council meeting.
Cool.
So, anybody fancy a stab at chairing tonight?
I've chaired one of these before, I'd be happy to do it again.
Okay. All those in favour of me, I'll go with that. And you?
Okay. So everyone, I'm Councillor Jones, and welcome guests to our meeting. So, as previously mentioned, we've decided that we're going to postpone 2208 and 2209 to either the next full council or the next planning committee meeting. Would that need a vote in your opinion? No. So we'll delay those. Now then, 22 to review terms of reference for recommendations at the next full council meeting. These were shared with us previously. It's a one-pager titled Appendix D. Does anyone have any initial comments about these terms of reference?
No, there doesn't appear to be any amendment changes that need to be done with them anyway, so we agree with that.
One thing I'd raise, I seem to remember Councillor Chappell in times gone by having wanted to put a clause in there or some bullet point where if the matter was time sensitive and it wasn't quora, that he could make a decision on behalf. Is that perhaps what the last bullet point says?
Yeah.
Delegated powers to submit.
Yeah, this was made last time, wasn't it? This was the amendments that were made last time.
That has made it in.
Yeah.
Good. So I think then we can happily agree with those terms of reference. Do we need a proposition and a seconder for that?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can we vote that through? Yeah. 2211 to receive and accept apologies for absence. It's 2 from Councillors Chappell and Fuller. Do we accept those? Yeah. It seems like we do. Okay, 2212 now. We have a representation of interested parties. So I have here Mr. Jeff Cole talking about item 0103, the 20 Bennefield Road item on our agenda. So please.
Shall we do it?
Yeah, that'd be great if you want to come to the front.
If you want to be on the camera, you need to move a bit closer.
No, I don't. No. I'm Jeff Cole. My wife Rebecca's with me. We both live at 26 Bennefield Road, which is the subject of what we're here tonight. You've possibly guessed from my accent, I'm not from the West Midlands. I am from the West Midlands, I'm not from around here, but I have lived in London for 40 years. And for the last 16 with my wife in the house down the road. The house was built in the 1960s, ostensibly as a little work came out on it other than routine maintenance and decoration. From the existing layout, it sits on an overly large plot in proportion to the accommodation. It also looks dated compared to the recent improvements and developments on the 2 sides of us and across the road. The proposal is to provide a detached house with accommodation more fitted into the 21st century, a more useful kitchen which can handle 2 people being in there at the same time, which is the main driver. A downstairs toilet, utility in the 3rd bedroom. The detached garage is positioned away from the property, you'll see on the plans, and that's so as we're out of the root protection zone of the protected walnut tree in the neighbouring garden. I've had previous discussion with the planners at Northampton, and they've okayed it, although that was several years ago, the position of that garage. We believe it's in proportion with the plot and not overdeveloped. External material finishes have been chosen so to blend with the surroundings and repeat materials and other dwellings on Bennefield Road and in the vicinity. This was made to ensure the extension does not look like an add-on, but it looks like a single dwelling with no visible joins and no new to old materials. I think it sits comfortably in its surroundings. It gives the ability to provide greater insulation also to the external walls, particularly the north-facing elevation. So, tick a sustainability box there. I've had discussions with the immediate neighbours at number 8 Pennyfield Court, and it's a very speedy conversation with people at 22. None of them got any objections. We've discussed with the beaches at number 8 the build lines, and they don't exceed their lines to the rear of their property at the 2-storey or the single-storey extension to the rear. There's no overlooking issues because the flat roof to the rear is going to have a Juliet balcony to the bedroom, so it's not a walk-on roof, which possibly some people have had that misconception. There's no overlooking issues, and all these matters were considered when we briefed the designers in the initial stages. We briefly discussed the comments of the highways, so they haven't, they made comment about the street furniture, and I've said we're going to try and get the BT box removed, and we're going to widen the entrance, and we've already placed an order for a sliding gate, powered sliding gate, so it negates the necessity for this 5.5 metre back for standing cars waiting to get into the property. So that's that. I hope you can agree with me the design is considered with a simple addition to the workable kitchen, downstairs toilet, utility bedroom, highlighted as a modest but positive improvement that is and suitable in design and appearance terms. And hopefully you can pass it forward in a positive manner to Northamptonshire Council. No, I don't know if what the protocol is, if you want to make comments, am I allowed to respond? Or?
Well, what I think we might do is, first, thank you very much for that. We've got a few minor things that aren't related to what I just said. We'll get out of the way, and then we can perhaps move your point to the first one that we discussed, which will be in very shortly. I can't imagine more than 3 minutes or so. And then perhaps you could get to ask the questions for us on that.
Okay, sure.
So thank you very much indeed.
Okay, so moving on then, 2213, declarations of interested parties. These are disposable pecuniary or other interests. Does anyone have anything to declare on any of these?
Yeah, 0104 Bonnie Road is the applicant's work with mine.
Any others?
No,
Okay. 2214, minutes of previous meetings, the previous meeting. Does anyone have any points to raise about those minutes, or are we happy to pass them? So we have a proposer and a seconder on those, don't we? Anyone to second the minutes? Can I second them? Second them. Excellent. Okay then, so now to the planning applications. As I said a moment ago, I'm going to boost 0103 right to the first point then. So this is 20C Bennefield Road. As we know, an extension, as we just had presented to us, an extension of a 2-storey side extension. Usually our chair provides a handy write-up about each case, so I'll just announce that now, and then if there's any points of comment you'd like to make, just let us know.
Yeah, sure.
So what we have then is, okay, so an erection of a 2-storey side extension with rear projection at ground and first floor level. Front ground floor extension, replacement of windows and doors, and demolition of existing garage and addition of a single garage. Now, the existing building is constructed in brick
but the new walls will have a timber cladding and white render, windows and doors to match existing. There'll be a first floor Juliet balcony to the rear of the side extension, serving as the new master bedroom. Currently, the property has 2 bedrooms and a small office and a bathroom on the first floor. The extension will house a large ensuite master bedroom at first floor level with other accommodation unchanged. There's currently a garage connected with the side of the property, which will be replaced with a side extension, and a new garage attached will be built adjacent to the road. The application states that there will be no alteration to the existing access or impact upon the available parking, with no trees or hedges affected. There are no public comments on the portal at the time. Highways have no objections, but made some observations. And Environment Protection have asked for any permission to include conditions relating to the construction work. Site works are restricted from 8 AM till 6 PM Monday to Friday and 8 till 1 Saturdays, with the no burning of material on site. So that's the write up there. We just had a very helpful presentation. Before I open up to the councillors, was there anything what I said there that seemed incorrect or?
No, that's fine.
Excellent.
Sorry, the only other thing is that I'm using a matching brick on the East Gable.
Okay. Does anyone on the council first have any initial comments or questions they'd like to ask first?
My only question would be, what does the new window at the back look out onto that view?
It looks across the field towards Warren Bridge.
Okay. Yeah, no questions.
Have we got the before and after shot?
The other
That's
thing,
the after,
Yeah,
That's the after, yeah.
and this is the existing.
Do we have any plans which would show us what the total site looks like with regard to the surrounding,
Yeah.
contextual,
Which one's that one?
There is one.
Location plan?
the location, please?
And it doesn't, because you're coming out of the front side, sorry, Chair, mate, you're
That's
coming
how it
out of the
is.
front, you're bringing a porch in the front, aren't you?
Yes.
You bring
That's
that
how I
side
want
forward.
to do it.
And then slightly going out to the back, aren't you, but not going out too far on the curvilege of the building at the back.
the other issue is that the existing garage sits directly on the boundary.
Right, okay,
What you can't see from that.
Yeah.
Is that the house moves away from Benfield Court to
Okay.
provide a clear break and a walkway down the side.
yeah, because you've got more room on the right than you have on the left, haven't you, because your
Yeah.
garage butts up against the fence or.
That's right.
Yeah,
So the boundary line will come in
yeah,
less than the existing garage.
right, okay,
Which
to
is
create a walk, are you going to create a footpath
Yeah.
to the left?
I mean,
Yeah.
when we made the initial comment to the planners a few years back about the garage position, I also indicated the extension position, and they actually came back with a comment. They wanted it moved away so as to stop the effect of the terrace on Benfield Road.
If I may, Chair, the only point I got to it was the issue around the drive on with putting the garage there. How will, with bringing the house forward, coming in and reversing around to go out forwards or however, and how many cars were you still anticipating parking on the drive? Because how many bedrooms is it going? It's
3.
3, so,
Right.
So you still only have to have 2 spaces.
yeah.
So we can comfortably manage 3 cars.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we can
We can.
go on and
yeah,
come
'cause you
back.
must do that now with the garage that's already there.
Yeah.
You drive on, reverse round.
Yeah, we've marked out with paint,
Yeah.
sort of what the boundary would be to be able to move.
We wanted to, it was a very crude path analysis.
Because it's, reversing out is a pain. So
Yeah,
we
oh,
always try,
definitely.
we always try and reverse it whenever
Yeah.
we can, because it's not the best.
You're using the walk position right on that junction. aren't you?
Yeah.
You may have mentioned this in your delivery there. I've noticed there's a tree preservation order on one of the trees.
Yeah.
Just tell me how that's being preserved.
Well, it's a 7.8
Yeah.
metre radius.
Mm.
That's based on, I can't remember how it's calculated, I think it's 12 times the girth, the diameter, and that's how you arrive at the diameter, and then it's marked on there. And where it goes underneath the house,
Yes.
well,
The house was there.
Yeah, that's, yes,
so I don't know which came first, the walnut tree or the house.
I see, yeah.
But the
that's-
garage is sufficiently far away and there's sufficient clearance so as it's not to affect the walnut tree.
It's the extra circle around it, I guess.
Yeah, it is in the adjoining garden.
Yes,
rather
it's
than-
next door.
rather than a metre.
Super, thank you. Well, I think, judging the feeling of the people around the room, tell me if I'm wrong, this seems like something that we have no objection to, unless anyone else does at all.
Nice remodelling, I think, of the property.
Yeah.
So do you want actively support as opposed to just no objection? Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, brilliant, thank you.
Thank
Well,
you very
that's it. Unless you want to stay for the rest, but you're all welcome.
These two of us can
We
finish.
still do need two more councillors, so just.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like the bigger kitchen's on its way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Sorry if it
much.
cost you money, then. Take care.
Alright.
Thank you.
Excellent, so now I'm going to go back to the beginning, 0101. Now, this is 19 Potterstock Road, and interestingly, there seems to be, this seems to be a new application for this site, but planning permission has already been granted for 2 dwellings on this site from a previous application. So we've included on the agenda, on the request of Councillor Chapel, our previous conclusion, which is that, well, what they intend to do is construct 2 family dwellings and associated landscaping on the site, which will require a demolition of a 7-bedroom dwelling and erection of 2 5-bedroom detached houses with detached double garages. And we commented this in February 2021 in this meeting. We said we had no objection in principle to this application, but would ask that the tree officer take a close look at all the trees and ensure that as many as is practically possible be retained on the site. OTC notes the observations of the environmental protection, that construction work be limited to those hours cited on the previous item. And in addition, that traffic movements to and from the site take place on times other than when children are arriving at Aldle Primary School, which is very near to this site. Now, the application was granted in 31/3/21. So, in terms of what we say here today, it sounds like that we've already given our answer to this in the red. So I'm not sure that there's any more for us to say.
No, if you've got any additional comments to the amendments.
I think they've done a good job in redesigning how they've done it in terms of trying to fit it in with other houses that are in.
Could we, yeah, I was just saying, yeah, do you want, David to go quite a long thing on this one? I don't know if you want to.
Where's that? Is it? Did he?
Yeah, further down,
Yeah.
we talked about trees, and as you said, Councillor Jones already talked about the trees.
I see. So, I don't have that. Okay. Oh, I see. It's further down the agenda. Sorry, I see what you mean. Okay. What number is this? 0648. 0684. Definitely the right one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
0684. I see. Okay. Right. So, for the benefit of anyone watching, in March we gave planning permission for the demolition of Pembroke House and the construction of 2 5-bedroom detached houses. We did not object to the application, but asked for the trees to be looked at, which I spoke about earlier. The 2 dwellings now proposed will be in the same general positions as the original granted application, with a gravel drive to plot A and tarmac to plot B. 2 separate entrances on Potterstock Road, as there were when Pembroke House was occupied. The entrance to plot B will be the access that can be seen currently, with a new access for plot A.
There are many significant differences between this application and the previously approved one, with both properties having a larger footprint to the rear and increased garage sizes. The dwelling on plot A will have 5 bedrooms, all en suites. At first floor level, on plot B, it will have 4, also all en suites. Both properties will have external covered balconies. There will be a slight increase in the overall height of the buildings to 9,600 millimetres. The design and access statement says that this would be lower than that of 19A, which was built in what was then the grounds of Pembroke House. The DNA statement says that this increase would allow the addition of a new rear dormer window balcony. It allows for a larger master bedroom with ensuite and dressing area, an elevator, and a laundry space. Originally, the dwelling on plot A was going to be 187 square metres with a 40 square metre detached double garage. It would now be 306 square metres with an integral attached to one side of the dwelling, triple garage. The dwelling in plot A was also going to be 187 square metres with a 40 square metre detached double garage, but increases to 220 square metres with a 50 square metre double garage. The plot, however, is large and approximately 3160 square metres, and it backs onto the new residential development under construction. The DNA statement says that a cluster of established trees are located sporadically throughout the site, with a mature 5-foot hedge bordering its boundary to the road, providing natural screening, reducing the visibility of the dwellings and their impact upon the surrounding properties. The large trees and bushes to the east and west boundaries will be untouched, as will the existing trees and mature vegetation along the road facing the northern boundary. The DNA statement says that the revised plans provide a more defined, formal and pronounced principal entry lobby, and the remodelling of the interior space to provide a large open plan kitchen, living and dining space plus bar and wine cellar in what it refers to as a single-storey rear extension, providing better connection to the terrace and garden. The walls of the property will now be in Stamford stone or similar, described in the DNA statement as sandy-coloured buff, on the front street-facing elevations with bright render as opposed to red brick. The roofing will be grey Welsh slate or Marley tiles, and the property would, however, look radically different to the original, more traditional designs due to the considerable extent of glazing to the front and indeed rear elevations. The result is that from the road, the majority of both frontages will be glass. The glazing will be tinted for privacy. The resulting appearance of these properties will be radically different to the surrounding properties, and there are currently no comments on the portal. So quite considerable changes to something we'd already agreed to or approved. Any comments in addition to what has already been said?
It's virtually a new, totally new application, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a big site, it is sheltered,
Yes.
we've got to have moved with the times, I think personally, I think it's maybe a good place for radically different.
Yes.
What they look like from the front.
properties. I won't look too much.
Is it, sorry, so is this in the conservation area?
So what it's well,
No, it's way outside.
and it's right next to new developments that's being built.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there are biggish houses,
The next door one as
Next
well,
door,
yeah, either side.
it's not out of keeping with the surrounding.
No,
And I thought that their base architects' design and access statement was very good as well in terms of trying to show what they look like and also what's neighbouring in terms of the plot. I think it's only enhanced the plot in terms of what.
And they plan to be building this, I'm not perhaps that it matters, at the same time as.
Yeah.
The bigger city, so there's
Yes,
going to be some more traffic on it. But then better get it all over and done with at once, I suppose.
Yeah. And looking at the drawings, they're retaining the trees, so I think from what originally we made comment about the trees, they're retaining the trees.
Yes.
Which is good.
I think for me it's crucially important that they retain every
Every tree they can.
possible mature tree that they can. As part of it. So it sounds to me like we don't see a reason to object to what's going on here. I would like to make a clear condition that the trees are protected that are of significance. And I think we can certainly not object to the plans here, unless anyone has a final minute thing to say. Okay. Good, okay, no objection. So 0102, this is the Fairline Nene Valley Business Park in Oundle. They want to erect a lightweight aluminium frame structure to provide additional storage within boundaries of the existing facility.
Now, we have objected in the past, they've been trying to put extra buildings on.
Hmm.
And one of the things that we've always been concerned about is that the more buildings, the more people, the more cars, and they're already causing us huge problems
Mm-hmm.
over parking in the vicinity.
They park in the long stay, the Jones Strong car park and walk through them.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and the surrounding roads.
But this is just a storage, it's
And
not
we
just
have
a parking
objected
area. But
massively to it in the
this is a
past.
storage area, not necessarily where they park their cars anymore.
Or a new business.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So it's not an existing business. So they're not, it's not a parking area they've got now. It looks like they're trying to tidy up their existing
Yeah.
storage with all their containers and everything else by having one shed. I think that's the impression I got from looking at the drawings.
Yes.
I think we've got to be very careful because
Shall I present? I'll present what David's written to.
there will be previous comments.
Yeah. So it says here that the building will be situated within the existing storage yard and will occupy 200 metres squared, another height of 9385 millimetres, with a pitched roof, twin layer industrial grade PVC tarpaulin. Walls would be steel trapezoidal metal sheet metal clad with steel roller doors. The structure is described in the design and access statement as semi-permanent. There will be no change to access onto the site, and the existing parking provision for 250 cars is unaffected. The application discloses no impact on any existing trees or hedges. The work will not create any additional employment, but 20 part-time jobs are indicated becoming full-time as a result of this. No comments on the portal. At the moment, the highways are seeking clarification that the number of people employed on the site would not increase, nor would traffic to and from the site be affected. Okay. So it's a Fairline Boats. I don't think I said that the first time. Now just Fairline.
Personally, I don't have any problems.
I think, yeah.
It's not an existing, my only comment was, it's not an existing parking area. And I think they're trying to tidy up an already
Yes.
area that's used
Yes.
for storage that seems a bit scattered around the side. And this is all area that's going
And
to go.
it is an industrial site.
It is an industrial
I
site.
don't have any problems.
No.
Because
And you know, I'm sure Fairline Boats contributes to our economy and our tourism to a degree here at Handel. The marina's a
yeah, I think.
superb place. I don't personally have an objection to this proposal. Any further points from anyone? No. Okay, no objection then on that one. All right. So now on to 0104. Remember, we're missing 0103, so we did that at the beginning. So this is on one new road. It's a single-storey side extension for a disabled user. The application indicates that an extension is sought for a disabled user. It appears the extension will house downstairs toilet and washing facilities. Walls will be made of matching brick and windows matching. The application states that there is no alteration to access, but a slight reduction in the size of the parking area. It further states no impact upon trees and hedges. No comments on portal. Highways have indicated parking spaces must comply with their minimum requirements excuse me, of 5.5 metres per space. It is not clear from the application that the position will be compliant with this.
I just say, I don't have any objections to the actual application for the internal, but to ensure that they comply with the highways recommendation, knowing how busy new road can be, we've got to make sure that the parking provision is properly sorted for the application. Otherwise, there'll be issues.
I think so.
I would agree with
Um,
exactly what you said.
If I may, this is the lady I work with. I know we shouldn't bring personal things into it, but it's for her son who recently, in the last sort of year and a half, became blind. I don't know if that. I guess highways look at it in terms of the future. For a property to have parking spaces when it's sold, potentially, but I don't know whether there's a provision if the application is for a disabled person, because they're not going to drive, so there's no need of another car, as it were. But I would also add that I contacted the county council about getting a path made essentially outside the front of this property before this, because when the gentleman leaves his current dwelling, he walks straight into the road. So it is dangerous, and this is partly to try and combat that. I think so. That's my 2 cents.
So I'm just trying to get an understanding of what I'm looking at here on the left. So, which is the front of the house where you walk in? Is that on the
So there's actually two entrances.
Okay.
There's one that
Go down a bit. So there's an entrance at the side here, isn't there?
That's correct,
And
yeah.
that bit that juts out.
So one essentially is into the road, another is down a gravel path, which neither are sufficient if you're blind.
Yes.
So hence the path.
Right, yes. And another one is on the Blackthorn Road end or down the recreation ground end.
Clapham Road.
Yeah, second house down from the
Yeah.
top.
Yeah. Bungalow on the corner, isn't it?
Third.
Yeah.
No, second house.
And getting the parking thing right is unusually crucial for Arundel. It's so sensitive.
So this is the extension bit here.
That's the
is it?
extension there.
And it's set back to the level of this part of the house. That wouldn't affect their parking because they can get a car off the road here and here.
I see. Okay.
As long as it doesn't come any further forward than this wall here, it wouldn't make any difference. They don't put a car down the side there, but they could fit a car in the front here.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
As I said, I think, for me, I've no issue with the application, but they need to ensure that they adopt what the highways are saying around the NNC adopting parking standards.
So
And then from our perspective, safe, and then
yeah.
regardless of whatever happens to the house in the future,
Yeah.
current plans are such that they're complying with what the highway standards are required.
So shall we say no objection, except
As long as they comply
as long as they
with
comply with highways.
Yeah.
parking to the adopted standards. And highways are quite specific in their document.
Yes, yeah.
So they flagged it.
Yeah.
It's not like we,
Yeah.
they flagged it as a,
Yeah.
Common.
I mean, I think unless they address that, it's not going to get permission in its current
That's right.
thing. But as I don't know if you, I mean, it's just getting off the point a little bit. But if you were to build a path, does that create parking space? I don't know because parking down that road is ridiculous. It's so tight.
If you were to introduce a footpath down there, you wouldn't be able to have on-road parking, because cars wouldn't get by you.
Okay.
There's nowhere you can go unless you go onto somebody's property to provide a path without encroaching on the road, so.
Right.
But I agree, it is very dangerous that there's
Yeah.
just no footpath along that
Yeah.
section at all.
On that right-hand side, it's not, is it?
No, exactly.
Right then, so,
Okay.
0105, this is Angel School's Great Hall, various tree works per the attached schedule and proposed tree works, possible ongoing tree management on the site. These are trees obviously within the conservation area. It's not proved possible, at least at the time of writing, to access the plans, and there are currently no comments on the portal. Has that changed at all? What anyone can see?
Is it 602, isn't it?
602 and 603. If you look at I'll look at 603 if you like.
Okay. I'll look at 602. Documents. Fourth plan. The work schedule is on there.
Still no comments.
No comments for 603.
No.
I've got site survey in 603.
As long as it complies with the trees.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that's the guy here for the tree, laws
Yeah.
that complies with the tree.
it's hard to give an opinion, isn't it, when you don't know what trees are the ones they want us to work on, or want us to look at. It specifies here Great Hall. Oh, no, sorry, it doesn't specify Great Hall, so there's various tree works as per the schedule. Okay, yes, it's a range of trees around the Andal site. Yes, it makes all sense. Well, I say, yeah, we give our usual on this one, which is no objection,
Subject.
subject to the views of the tree officer. There's many
It's
trees,
the safest way.
many trees. Okay, so the next is 0106, this is 9 Herne Road. There's a cherry tree removal in front to ground level due to it blocking light into the house, very close to the house. Tree is currently small and not TPO worthy. Then they also have an apple tree, remove tree in rear to ground level because it is in poor vigour, disease and with white sticky stuff affecting garden and next door to. It's blocking light into the house and takes up a lot of small space in a small terrace garden. Tree is currently small and, as they say, TPO not worthy. So what we have here, at least from David's, Councillor Chappell's comments, so to make sure I'm on the right one, 00613. The application indicates that the proposed works are recommended by Neem Valley Tree Services. The application refers to 2 trees, a cherry at front and an apple at the rear. Cherry tree fell as close to the house, fell as it is close to the house and restricting light into the property. Apple tree fell as it is diseased and also close to the house, affecting light. Is this a comment, a public comment? So there's a public comment here which I'll read for the benefit of those. It was made, there's only one, on Monday the 6th of June, which is yesterday, about them. We see no need to take down the cherry tree to ground level as correct pruning at the right time of year would alleviate the blocking of light. The same comment should be done regarding the amount of space in the front garden. The street scene will be altered and should be borne in mind that the property is within a conservation area. Please consider the above. Thank you very much. Is 9 Herne Road within the conservation area firstly?
It goes
Well,
up
in the
to,
end, the beginning part certainly is. because we've been dealing with trees, haven't we?
Yeah, there's on the right hand side, we had one previously,
Yeah,
a previous
we did.
meeting, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
I'm being very
So
slow
I
with my
think it is.
geography tonight, I can't.
6,
There's
hang
a
on.
couple where I've been gone completely blank.
I know 6 Fern Road.
Are you wishing to carry out works to trees in a conservation area? And the answer on the form is yes. So
Okay,
that answers that.
so it is in the conservation area, okay, that's fine. Well, you might be able to guess what my view on this one would be. I'm completely against any felling of any tree unnecessarily. In terms of the cherry tree at the front, I don't think restricting light into a property is strong grounds for a complete felling of a perfectly healthy and tree. If the apple tree in the back is diseased, then that's another matter.
And what's the matter for the tree officers to say if it is or
yes.
not?
But I think the tree officer would certainly have to look at this. Does anyone else have other comments to make?
I completely agree with you.
Okay. So where do we go from here? My sense is certainly to object to T1, the cherry tree.
The cherry tree in front.
Yeah,
And then ask them.
and then
follow
get
up.
the opinion of the tree officer
Yeah, I
for
agree.
T2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on then to 0107, the communication mast, Stoke Doyle Road. So the removal and replacement of 3 existing radio antennas with 3 new antennas, along with the installation of ancillary equipment upon the existing slimline telecommunications tower. The mast is located on land south of the golf club and close to Oundle Lodge. The upgrade to the existing base station is to provide 5G. The application is made on behalf of Hutchinson's 3G UK Limited and Mobile Broadband Network Limited. There are currently no comments on the portal at the time of writing. 5G to who? Just the golf club or to? Well, I was going to say neighbours, but there aren't many neighbours, are there, to the golf club apart from
Is that
some of the fishermen? Let's have a wonder about the changing size of the mast, perhaps. This is 00510. I remember something like this when the fire station wanted to change what they had in their mast, actually turned out to be minuscule and tiny
alterations
alterations.
smaller than they were on there. Wasn't
Mm.
I have to say that the communication links in Albion are not very good.
No.
So I've
Yeah.
twice now tried to have smart meters installed and had to have them taken out again because the
Oh, okay.
signal's not strong enough.
Signal's not strong enough. Okay, this might well support
So
that.
any improvement to the signal, in my view, is to be welcome.
Yes. So I'm not aware of a mast as I drive that way. So it's on Stoke Doyle Road. Is that?
Yeah.
So it must be the back of the golf
It
club.
doesn't smack you in the face, does it?
No, I just want to hope the new one doesn't either.
it? Trying to find out where it is. Where's the location?
It's the first one, yeah.
I think it is
Where is it?
very similar to the other one, to the fire station one. In that it looks almost minuscule.
So it's off, so it's along, so past Wood Lane, go round the bend, and then you've got the farm is Oundle Lodge, isn't it? Where
Yes.
they've got planning permission to have a nursery now.
Right, okay.
So it's up on the top of that hill, so
Mm.
you wouldn't see it from, you're right to see it from Oundle. And far enough away from Wakely Close and also Lytham Park. So
Yeah,
that's my
okay.
understanding of where it is. So the farm, so the lodge is the farm where they've just had planning application for the nursery, I think. And obviously there's just masters further on. and it must be form part of the golf club, looking at the drawing, or edge, it's on the
Yeah.
edge of the golf club, isn't it?
So I think it was the demolition of an old mast, was it, and an erection of a new one?
Yeah.
Did I get that? Did I say that?
Proposed,
Yeah.
yeah, looking at it, it looks, if that's the,
So it's 3 for 3, replacing 3
Yeah.
for 3. I'm just looking at the elevation, I think what you had up a moment
Yeah.
ago, and see, it doesn't show 3, it shows,
top of structure 15 metres, top of structure 17.1. So, proposed cable loader.
well, I think what we can see is that it's not, nothing seems to be monstrously out of proportion with anything else. I would like to see what's there now, but
Yeah, I was,
we've got a lot proposed.
They've also done well to hide it from us.
Yes. Not proposed. Okay.
So we're in West Street now, is that a big?
I don't have an issue with it.
No, we haven't got any comment about the heights, have we? Okay. Well, I think as we say, what might be lost in terms of visuals will be greatly gained in terms of, you know,
Yes, and modern
making our homes
technology's
more
getting
connected.
smaller and neater anyway.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
So it could be an advantage.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So we'll say no objection, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on then. 0108, this is 33 West Street. They want a new detached garden building. So York House is a Grade 2 listed property, 33 West Street. In the conservation area, the design and access statement suggested that the listed building consent is not required due to the distance from the house to the proposed structure. The far end of the garden is the swimming pool, with a small building serving that pool, and located on the opposite side of the pool to the house, which is to be retained. The proposed new building will be on the house side of the pool. The single-storey building on a brick plinth with stone steps will have feather-edged timber weatherboard walls and a zinc-style standing seam metal roof, painted timber windows and double-glazed doors. Its construction will not affect access to the property or require the removal of any trees, but plans indicate that 3 bushes will be removed. The building will comprise a reception room, small kitchen and a toilet and storage space. It will occupy 72 square metres of the 1347 square metre plot. There were no comments on the portal at the time. So it's house side of the pool, yeah. And that's it there in blue on the left, looks like the Animal School common room. From the rear. Any initial impressions, anyone?
The only impression I've got is that if we were to agree to the building, I would want it to be said from us, and obviously when the planners would consider it, that it is always a pool room and at no point can it be converted into a dwelling.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because when I look at it, it's big enough to be a bungalow on its own.
Yeah,
So I think, from my perspective, because on one of the design standards, it talks about retaining the pool, retaining the changing room.
Right.
Well, you don't really need to retain the changing room if you build one.
Yeah.
yeah.
I just felt that there needs to be something to say that it will always be, a pool room and not to be converted into a dwelling.
That's the fair one.
So they were my only thoughts for that area, because it would then indicate you're doing backfill, infill of a piece of land.
Yes.
They were my only comments about it, but apart from that.
Yeah, okay. I would agree with that entirely. So, anything?
Yeah, the the only thing I would say is, with listed buildings, is there a certain distance a new building has to be from a listed building? The only reason I ask that is because, you know, the, what's that? Pig Carthy, we've said about how one of the new proposed new dwellings is sort of too close to the listed building. So is there a,
It's only number 33 that's the listed part of that for the heritage status. So it's only the house, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they're trying to say it's the curve. It doesn't affect the curvilege of what they're trying to achieve, and it's quite a way back from the existing.
yeah, it is. Just wondering if, I just don't know if there has to be a specific distance.
There was a local schoolmaster's house.
And was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a good idea of the actual.
Appendix B shows photographs, 9.2, if you wanted to look at how far back it is.
Okay. Is it the house with the cherry tree in the front? Is that?
No, it's the one, it looks like the old fire station, isn't it? Is it
It's
the
set, it's set
It's
back,
set
isn't it?
back,
So
yeah.
the only one on
And
West
there's a-
Street,
there's-
set
It
right
has got a
back.
big
So it's got a
It
tree in the
has,
front, and then there's
It's
a
got
wall.
the cherry tree in the front.
Yeah, I
There is
think it's a
and
cherry
there's the
tree,
wall,
yeah.
isn't there? The red, is it red? Red gate, red doors, is it that?
I think so.
Okay. Well, I think your point to us that they're not becoming a dwelling certainly makes a lot of sense to me.
They are saying, to be fair, they are saying it will be a, what was it, I read it. The proposal is to create a new outbuilding to serve the swimming pool for recreational purposes ancillary to the residential use. So we need to make sure that that is maintained
Yes.
and that
Yeah.
it doesn't become a dwelling.
Yeah.
That's all, the rest of it is far enough back from the building, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Just say no objection then. I think apart from just preserving its ancillary use, please. Well, thank you very much, everyone. We'll then go on to 0109, which is 15 Milton Road. This is a group of 9 previously pollarded lime trees, which have been pollarded at around 10 to 12 feet and re-pollarded and reduced stem height down to 7 feet to alleviate excessive shading.
I like to enter bushes. It's absolutely ludicrous.
This is the bottom of so the application is required as the trees are in the conservation area. The application is made by Rose Tree Care Limited. At the time, the only documentation on the portal from the application form is an aerial photograph. The application form indicates that the stem height is to be reduced to 7 foot to alleviate excessive shading. Re-pollard group of 9 previously pollarded lime trees is on Milton Road. 15 Milton Road.
Okay.
Well, lime trees are very hardy.
They're the ones that run along the other side of the common room land, driveway, aren't they?
Right.
I think that's where they are.
Yes.
They want to tidy them up.
So it's right next to the school.
It's the common room building, isn't it? And then to the right of the common room is the driveway that goes down. It's all the brick trees on the right hand side.
Right, okay.
That's my understanding.
It's interesting what it says 15 Milton Road. So that's 15 Milton Road, I think it's quite a long way from it. 15 Milton Road is
So they want to go
it's
down.
right next door to the primary school, it's the first one we come to.
So they want to go down from 12 foot to, the photograph shows them right next to the common room.
Okay, well then it must have been,
And they want to take them down from 12 foot to 7 foot, don't they?
yeah, nearly half than height.
Lime trees.
Excessive shading, low humidity value.
I can't think what they're meant to be shading.
I suppose they're
They're
gardens in the
lining, they're
houses.
lining a sort of
Scanway.
roadway.
Yeah.
I just thought it was grossing.
If it doesn't appear to be for the benefit of the trees or their longevity at this stage, I don't see why it needs to be done. No one's complained about the shade
No,
caused by the trees.
Can we refer it to the trees?
I think so.
trees.
Yeah, for you.
I'm tempted to do that.
It's
Yeah.
like
Object. It's
cutting
good,
a large dog's legs off.
Yes.
Making it
Yeah.
none of that.
We object, but on the basis of, we'll
Yeah.
take
Yeah,
the tree officer.
Yeah, can we do that? Can we say we object, but contrary view to the.
If the tree officer said that.
Okay. For the primary reason that it seems excessive and unnecessary. And trees have a special place
No,
in
trying to
our
be,
town. To be fair, though, lime trees are very hardy, but again, shade's a really important part of climate management. Okay,
agreements.
0110, it's 13 St Peter's Road. Here's a non-material amendment to allow for revised eaves height pursuant to planning permission. In relation to the demolition of an existing garage and additional two-storey extension. So the eaves is to be raised by 500 millimetres. No paperwork received so far, so for information only. David has quite a lot to say about this one. 0630. No, he doesn't. That's 0630 in front of me.
I felt it sorry for the applicant, because I think he's written in the documentation that, it was the failing of the drawings that were previously done that has meant that this guy's then got a problem getting into one of his house.
Right, okay.
Hence, that's why he's got to increase the height of the eave.
I see, okay.
That's how I reckon.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have thought bloke to be able to do his bills.
Yeah, okay.
If it's not working because of what was previously drawn. So I think that's why the application's come in.
Right.
That was my understanding. I'll try and find this what it says.
But it's for information only, so
Yeah.
there's nothing to be decided today about that. Okay. Everyone okay for me to move on then?
Yeah.
Excellent, so now on to 1502, which is planning outcomes, which are there for people to see. Does anyone have any, there's some interesting ones to comment. The co-op one with the lighting, baptising, the signs, which we objected to some part of it, that's all been granted. By and large, it's all been matching what we thought at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, 1503, planning appeals, none. 2216, to receive information regarding the current state of disrepair of the old NatWest building and decide next steps.
I live there, so
Oh, okay.
I don't know, so.
Okay,
It does look horrible. I looked at it the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
there's literally stonework.
Yeah.
It's just exposed and
exactly, yeah.
there's no mortar.
My wife is going crazy about it.
And the bottom was crumbling, so
Yeah.
there's always
Yeah.
weight and it's the bottom,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Going to liquid almost.
so we're worried about what's going to become of this building. We're worried about a collapse, aren't we, or at least
My
Well,
wife.
deterioration of stonework.
Yeah.
Can we sort of can we write to the
I presume it's the bank that owns
Yeah,
it.
so we, my wife contacted Woodfords, who's our estate agent, and I think the estate agents for Councillor King as well, and I think for that whole block, and said, look, this is, A, looks really bad, and B, potentially could be quite dangerous. What are you going to do about it? They contacted the people not owe anything back.
Yeah, into the building, I take it.
Do we know who owns the bottom part of that park?
Well, the whole building's owned by the same company.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Well, I've already referred it, you'll see on your additional information, I've already referred it to the planning enforcement officer, who has said she's going to get Lloyd to have a look at it.
Oh, okay.
And he's obviously the conservation officer, so if we just wait and see
Yeah.
what they advise, if there is anything we can do, whether there's a letter we can write to whoever. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring it to your attention. It's not only the stonework, it's the windows, it's
Windows as
everything.
well.
It just
Yeah,
makes the
The
whole
stonework does look dreadful.
thing, you know. So, but we'll keep an eye on it anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2217, so we need to discuss residents' complaints regarding lorries en route to the Cotterstock Road development using New Road instead of St Peter's Road. Please.
Well, I've been asked by a resident to report the fact that they have grubbed up the entire verge and put the site limitation fencing right against the road, on the tarmac effectively, thereby creating the impression that the verge is part of the site, which it's not.
Yeah.
And I think we need to
Well, wasn't
ask about that.
there a while ago that, didn't the mayor put out a reference number for the planning enforcement? If we had any comments, we referred it to that. So
Remember?
I wrote in and sent some photographs when they were
Mm.
all over the road and there was no.
Oh, yeah, well, we have got obviously contacts that they've removed our dog bin as well. There was a dog bin that seems to have disappeared, which was reported to us by Northants for us to try and find out. And they've come back to me and said they have moved it because they need it relocating, but they've said they will do that for us, but they've not said when. So, yeah, they've removed everything along that frontage, including things that don't belong to them.
So they've effectively destroyed the verge already.
Mm.
So this is the road verge by Arundel Primary School, like right outside the development you're talking
Just
about,
that's
Yeah.
the primary.
Yeah.
just past Arundel Primary, yeah. This particular point there seems to be about them not going down St Peter's
Yeah.
Road as well, which I seem to remember we kind of predicted, didn't we?
Yeah,
So, you know,
yeah.
they said they'll use St Peter's Road,
Yeah.
so we're not going to want to.
I did explain to the lady that, and I bumped into her on Saturday again actually, and it's apparently not so bad now, but we did explain to her that because of on St Peter's Road, there was the issue with the tree and waiting for the bat survey, and
Yeah.
they weren't allowed to remove the tree,
Mhm.
so their access via St Peter's Road was limited,
The
So-
tree's now gone.
which is now gone.
It's
So,
gone.
I think
Got rid of
it's-
the tree.
yeah, it's gone.
I went and dropped something down there to a friend's house the other day, and the tree's actually gone.
So the bat survey must have been
Negative.
negative, yeah.
When you say dropped, you mean it's been
No, it's
felled?
gone.
It's gone,
It's
yeah.
been dug up, a
So
lot.
I mean,
It's been ripped out.
that's an offence, I would have thought that's a criminal offence.
Depends whether they've had permission to remove it.
From whom then?
We need to.
Didn't we say, didn't we make a stipulation or something like that about
We
this?
did, we tried to do, there was some not confusion, there was some grey area as to whether that strip of land where the dyke is, whether we owned that or not.
Yeah.
Because we used to own all of that on
Yeah.
the top of Codstock Road down. We did make some sort of statement, I think, in our objection to the development as a whole about we wanted to be approached or spoken to about this strip and they ignored it. And obviously it got to the point where the council had to decide whether they wanted to take it any further, which would mean consulting a solicitor to take it further, and it never went any further. So they'd ignored it, done what they were going to do anyway, because that was going to happen regardless. But it was as to whether we'd get any kind of compensation or monetary, reward from allowing it to happen. But then we'd have to prove without doubt that that was indeed ours.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a catch-22 again, as is often the case.
Coming back to the original complaint about New Road, I think my understanding was that the transport plan was to ensure that they weren't
Yeah.
using St Peter's Road.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they can't use St Peter's Road as yet because St Peter's Road access isn't open. But that's one thing. So therefore, they need to be revisited. They need to be speaking to, I would argue, planning enforcement and to say, well, actually, this is our alternative route that we want to put forward. And then that will come back to the table and then we'll decide whether that was suitable or not. Because at the moment, we've got residents that are unhappy on New Road because they've got lorries thundering up and down that road again, just like they had when I suspect the Creed Road development was developed.
Weren't they supposed to be going through Cotterstop?
Yeah, well, they have been going through Costop. They've been coming through Fotheringhay. They come through Fotheringhay, they go out of Fotheringhay, and then turn left and take themselves to the Warrington roundabout.
Right.
So if you come off the Warrington roundabout and go to that T-junction,
Yeah.
you go right towards Fotheringhay, go through Fotheringhay and then through.
Yeah.
That's the route they've been taking.
Someone's still going on.
But they're coming in now in off the A605 over a bridge, turning left, turning right near Garth,
Yeah.
and then thundering up New Road.
Do we need, or would it be wise for residents then, I don't know, you can set up a camera outside their front window, have a count over a day? Do we need data like that, or
Get them to keep a book
get them to be
and then refer it to the planning enforcement.
Isn't there a weight limit on that road as well? I remember seeing a sign saying there shouldn't be here on New Road, on there. It's lorry watch or something. So it seems to be in flagrant disregard of that.
I don't think it'd be such an issue if they didn't hammer up there at almighty speeds as well. I think that's the main thing, that it appears to be no kind of consideration for anybody as.
So what can we do as a planning committee? Can we write something to site managers and ask them to reimpress?
I think we go to the planning enforcement and we tell planning enforcement that actually we have concerns about what they're putting in place in terms of how they are.
Traffic.
So it says the main access, so it says construction access, this is from their plan, their own plan, June 21. Land off Costop Road, condition 20, so they talk about conditions, they talk about construction access, and it says the main access and egress to the site of construction traffic, motor vehicles and site staff will be from St Peter's Road, as indicated on the proposed build route plan in Appendix B. The existing field access on Costop Road will use temporarily for compound setup, site enabling works, and to complete the S278 works on Costop Road. The main construction access will provide entrance into the site for all deliveries and subcontractors, including staff and operatives. All vehicles will park on the site in the designated area of the compound. As discussed below, any private or construction vehicles will not be permitted to wait or park on the highway at St Peter's Road. Every effort will be made to prevent construction entrances. Construction traffic will access and leave the site using the most direct route from the A605. And then it says Station Road, New Road, St Peter's Road. So the interpretation is that it's New Road and construction traffic must avoid Oundle Town Centre and Costop Road and Costop Village, see Appendix E. So their plan talks about Station Road, St Peter's Road, yes, that part of New Road, but it doesn't say
All the way.
New Road, Platform Road. So
Yeah.
they've got an issue,
Yeah.
that's in their plan. So I think we just need to refer it to planning enforcement and say, we need you to look at this.
Okay.
And then I think it'll be alleviated once the St Peter's Road, well, it won't, because we'll get complaints from people at St Peter's Road, because that's going to happen once that entrance is open. That's the only thing that we can
Okay.
do at the moment.
Great, so then it's agreed that we refer that to the named body just then.
Yeah, there's a plan, there's actually a picture of what the plan was. And it doesn't include going up
Up the hill.
the hill, but it doesn't include it.
We shouldn't be doing
It
this.
doesn't include it, so they shouldn't be doing it.
But there is a weight restriction on the road, if you get, next time you go down, you see there's a rather nice little sign.
So they need to be discouraged from using New Road.
Excellent.
And new roads not in good repair,
Yeah,
are
it's
they?
not.
Which
No.
we've had all the poor
And then you
people,
wonder
we've had
why,
all the
and then you
trouble
wonder
with
why
the
it
drains and the
rains.
floods. and, You know, it's Victorian stuff and it's just very, very close to the surface.
But if we could go back and say, if they want to keep the diary and want to refer it to the planning enforcement, that might help. The person or persons who complain, that might be a help.
Okay. 2218. Any other relevant matters to report only from anyone? We'll go around. Councillor Chester?
No, only my point about the verge on the site, that people in the town are concerned, and not everybody's, as it were, assertive enough or powerful enough to actually
Yeah.
go to the authorities themselves. They see it coming through the council
Yeah.
as the obvious way to get these things addressed. And it is a concern.
Councillor Davis?
Nothing from me, thank you.
And nothing from me. So with that, I declare this meeting closed. Thank you, everyone.
Well done.
What we just said.
Yes,